I'm a big fan of the arts and artists. I'm a big, an avid art collector, and also a big, fanatic of music, and have developed a lot of relationship with artists over time, and have realized that artists just have no business acumen and they have no real interest in developing it at all.
None.
Not at all, but they need it. It's
Right.
critical, right, to their, their ability to survive, let alone thrive. And I think about the artists that have done like amazing, in throughout history, in terms of their ability to not only exist but also build humongous businesses. And I'm thinking about people like Andy Warhol and Jeff Koons and
Yeah.
Kanye now, right? Like it's not just the
Yeah.
creativity, it's the creativity plus the infrastructure beneath you that allows you to really enhance and exploit your creativity, right? And so I've been very focused on building that infrastructure beneath artists, and simultaneously had found blockchain as a design technology, a new technology that had a lot of, philosophically, I think most people know of it from cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and things like that. But if you actually look at the underlying philosophy, it's really about decentralized ownership and sharing, a sharing economy. It's a tool that would allow creators to continue to maintain royalty on their art throughout the history of its existence, and it just has a lot of benefits that I think are still untapped. And so, fast forward, a partner and I, who works at Salesforce, the two of us said, you know what, what's needed is an analytics platform for artists. Really, artists need to be able to identify a paying customer base, grow that customer base, cultivate it, and ultimately get paid. Because as you know and I know, streaming doesn't pay the bills, right? And so we really started looking at music because we're both huge fans. As we looked at the industry from an outsider's perspective, we said, look, this does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. And, like being on the inside, Sony, Warner, Universal essentially have a monopoly on the industry.
Yep.
Um, when they do sign artists, the terms are so bad, it's embarrassing, right? And a deal like that should not be able to exist in this day and age. And what really is an artist trading? They're trading 85% of their IP for lackluster performance, an untrustworthy partner a lot of the time, if they're able to get to that level, right? If they're able to bubble up through all the
Yeah.
noise to,
Exactly.
be able to present themselves to a label. And so we said, there's got to be a better way. One, there is a long list and an amount of independent artists in this world that are amazing, that deserve a platform to be heard.
Yeah.
There is a way to fund them so that they look like startups, right? If you think about an artist that really are entrepreneurs, and why not treat them like entrepreneurs? Like a startup would never go to a venture capital firm and sell 85% of their company. That would end the discussion. That wouldn't even be entertained. Like, no way. Like, no one's going to sell 85% of the company to anyone. And artists do it all the time. So we said, why not treat them like startups and fund them so that we get 20% of the IP, the copyright. They maintain 80%. They get some money so that they can buy equipment. They're not making millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we can give them a couple $1,000s, buy songs from them, then partner with them and plug them into a curation community that we're building that would blast their music everywhere, right? So essentially, what we are building is a blockchain, decentralized music label.
Wow. That is, I mean, groundbreaking on so many levels and obviously a big task.
Yeah,
So, I mean, kudos to you guys for taking that on. I mean, it's needed. It's
it's
that first
needed.
step.
It's
It's
needed. It's needed. And only for independent artists, right? Independent
yeah.
artists that we are able to we're able to find through our curation community. And so I've had a lot of conversations like this with folks that are around the globe who love music or fanatics of music. Clubhouse has been great for that. I mean, we had a lot of that in our own networks, but Clubhouse just accelerated the number of these conversations we're able to have, just to understand, as a listener, it's interesting because listeners and artists sort of suffer from the same common enemy, which is all the noise in the marketplace, right?
Oversaturation for sure.
There's so much,
For sure.
right? 40,000 songs uploaded to Spotify on a daily basis, right?
Like there's
And
no
so,
way.
so you and I could make a song right now, put it on Spotify, as you know, in an hour. And unfortunately, for an artist that had been working on their craft for 10 to 15 years, they could do the same thing and we'd be competing with one another, right? That doesn't seem fair, right? In every other industry, you have, a major league, a minor league, NCAA, you have varsity, JV, freshman, and in music, you have the majors and then everyone else,
Right.
right? And there needs to be some curated, levels and gradation in there so that everyone has a platform to exist, and there should be, they should be separate. And so what we're trying to do is really initiate that, right? Again, like, let's separate the deserving talented artists from the amateurs, right? And like, let's make these guys pros. And the interesting thing is, the music industry at $43 billion annually, we think is massively undersized because they're not taking advantage of all the amazing talent that exists in this world that just doesn't have a chance to funnel up through them, right? And so we're
Right.
trying to help that. And so how do we do that? We focus on curation, right? To us, curation is a big part of it. There are two main blockchain streaming platforms now that just launched
Hmm.
that are trying to be Spotify, right? So they are in a lot of ways really focused on artists, getting artists on board, getting content on board so that then the users come. They're providing streaming. They pay the artists sort of real time. So they capture royalties much quicker, much more transparent fashion, which is the ability of blockchain. That's really the benefit of blockchain. But ultimately, what they're going to become is the next Spotify and Apple Music. What we are looking to do is, again, to be a much more curated version of that. So we are very focused on the curators. Like, we want the best
Right.
A&R, right, mechanism, and we want to make it available to everyone, right? If you are a huge fan of music, if you're a producer, if you're a DJ, DJs would be amazing, right? Because DJs kind of fill a lot of roles. They're creators and distributors and producers and consumers and collectors of music, right? So
Right.
we want the people who just love, love, love music, or the early adopters, love that feeling of discovering something new and sharing it with their people, right?
Yeah.
And are the trusted ear within their social circles. Whether you have 5 friends, 1,000 friends, 10,000, it doesn't matter. Like, we
Yep.
just want the
Yep.
people who like really care about music and have a discerning taste. Because we know if we get the curation right and they're bringing the right artists onto the platform, then the music that we're putting off the platform is going to have a perspective. It's going to be, it's going to set us apart, and it's
Yeah.
going to make the platform valuable. So it works like this, and we're still working out some of the kinks, but at a high level, it's, not a very difficult process to sort of understand and unpack and model to unpack. But you have, and we have a couple of artists that we're going to kind of put through this in the next couple of weeks.
Mhm.
But we have a artist says, we identify them through our curation network. They come to us and say, I want to release music on your platform. We say, great. Well, what are you thinking about doing? If I'm an artist and I'm thinking about releasing a 5-song EP, I put 10 songs in front of this curation community. It just looks like a playlist, right? It looks
Mhm.
like a playlist on a player that we are designing that allows everyone in the community to interact with the music, right?
Mm.
Like it, turn the volume up, turn the skip forward, like, we don't need you to really vote. We just need you to listen and
Right.
just do what you do, like listen to music and see how you interact with it. And then from that data, right, we can see which 5 songs perform the best, right? Which 5 songs people seem to like the most, which 5 songs are being shared the most, which 5 songs are being added to people's personal playlists the most, all that stuff, right?
Right.
And then we can go back to the others and say, okay, these 5 songs seem to be outperforming the others. We will buy these from you, meaning we will buy 20% of the royalty associated with these songs from you and release these off the platform for the general public to be able to consume. You can do whatever you want with the other five. You can release them anywhere. You can do whatever you want with
Right.
them. But our job now as a community is to maximize the value of these five
Mm,
songs that we are partnering with you on, because now we're partners,
got you.
right? Right.
Wow.
And so it's a way for everyone to invest in their ear, right? If you have, uh, again, discerning taste in music and you think you can identify these gems before the general marketplace finds them, then you want them to come on this platform so you can take part and partner with these artists and then help them boom, right? So that's the general, that's the general. There's some other like tricks that even enhance it more, but at a very kind of basic level, that's what we're thinking about.
Wow. That's, I mean, you guys really broke it down in a way that, yeah, isn't offered anywhere else. I mean, it brings
Right.
up a couple questions for me.
Hmm.
Um, Two to start off with, it may
Yeah.
come a little bit within this call, but two to start off with. One, distribution plans, how you're planning to get the music that you do choose. What does that look like, the disbursement after you're like, okay, I have these 5 songs out
Hmm.
of your 10.
Hmm.
What are we doing after that?
Right.
Um, and what's like, I guess, the model, you may not, I'm not sure what the team is looking like, but the team model behind that. And two,
Yeah.
I understand the curation community. So what's in it for the community? Is it just
Yeah.
just interacting, or are you even curating the community that's curating? Like, are you
Yes.
intentionally bringing these people on and there's something in it for them on the other side?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's so the community owns the platform, right? That's the benefit of blockchain is
Got
the 15 to 20% of the IP that we own as a community. So that goes into the community vault per se, that is then shared with everyone within the community. Essentially, a creative ecosystem that we're building that we can plug artists into, and everyone benefits. The artist benefits, and the community benefits. So, on your other question, I think another part of your question was, the distribution strategy.
Mhm.
So, what you could think about is, we have an internal playlist of all the music that we sort of have coming through, and then we have an external playlist that is the filter, right? So we filter the artists coming in, we filter the best of that music and put that off the platform. And we could do the same thing. We could have a playlist that, or a player that, or an app that allows people to come to us to listen to that music. And again, this is not everything that you can find on the internet. This is a very specific type of music that is, from the community's perspective, reflective of that, right? And we think people will pay for that. For the artists, it's finding fans, segregating their fans, right? Finding the ones who would pay for something, who would want to be on an app, where they have to pay to be around each other. Then they become the test group, because ultimately what we'd love for artists to do is to use their fans the same way they use a curation community. So before they release a visual, before they release an album, they want to check which, cover art they should use, which songs should be released. They honestly should be going to their fans and saying, which ones do you like, right? And giving those people what they want, more
Right.
and more and more, right? Like,
Right.
but I don't know many artists that do that now, especially independent artists who have sort of the infrastructure available to sort of pull their most loyal fans.
Right.
Um,
But okay, so what is the, I guess, the next step? The
yeah,
purpose of the reach outs? Is it, getting the people for betas and like how that's
yeah,
that's
exactly.
right.
Exactly. It's getting people for early beta, that would be interested in just following along, right? That would just be interested in kind of keeping in touch on it and being involved, through the beta process, helping us develop the product. Similar to, we're building the community around this, just like
Right.
Clubhouse has, right? Um, who is really into this model, who wants sort of to get that early access and early equity essentially in the community. Because I think what happens is we will issue a token, which will provide everyone with a portion of the platform. Uh, as you can imagine, that equity and that token is cheap early, but gets more expensive as we grow. And so I think there is some incentive to joining early, but also we just want to be able to share the benefits, right, with everyone and fully be decentralized from the beginning, because this is not about getting me and my partner super wealthy. It's about getting us all wealthy, to be honest, but also it's about more than that, paying the artists and paying the fans and just getting people paid. Like that's really the goal, and helping more artists exist in this world. Like that's really, the foundation of this and what we're trying to achieve.
Right. Um, I wonder how you guys are going to, I guess, tackle the problem of as much diverse content as possible when it comes to
Yeah,
curating the community and you
yeah,
know in inclusion in the
right,
conversation, as far as, okay, we may see that there's a whole saturation of like this genre or these three
right,
genres from
right.
these people, and are we thinking about age ranges? Like, are we reaching out to
Hmm.
younger people who are kind of set in
Right,
the culture, like,
right.
and not just the people who have been doing this for 20 years, but the people who are
Yes,
sitting on SoundCloud and listening to it all day? Like, how is
right.
that going?
Yeah, you're right. So I think right now, I'd say the demographic that we've been reaching out to and speaking with are 19 to 26, probably.
Okay.
I'd love to go younger and talk to, 14, 15, 16-year olds as well, to see what they think and if this is something they'd be into.
Uh-huh.
I do think about um, the what's the word I want to use, like the getting sort of boxed into one lane. I think a part of the job that we have in just attracting the right people initially is making sure there's a broad range and tastes of music, right? Like I think there are some things that will appeal to me and appeal to my friends and appeal to the people that we talk to. But I think the genreless, kind of fluid, um, uh, genreless fluid music is sort of the lane that we want to be in. So whether it's
Okay.
EDM, it's R&B, it's hip hop, it's rap, it's soul music, right? I
Mhm.
think as long as it's honest art, to be honest, like that's what we want. It could be anything. It could be alternative. I love alternative music, and if there's
Yeah,
some
me too.
some new sound bubbling up,
Yeah.
then yes, like let's harness
World
that.
music.
Exactly. Exactly. I do want it to be a reflection of the community. So,
Okay.
to be honest, I'm not worried about it commercially selling. I think
Right.
if we really like it as a community and we're saying that this is dope because we are all of the same mindset and perspective of artistry, right? Versus commercialization,
Mhm.
then yeah, we will put a stamp in the game and like really have a dope community of
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. Another space, I guess, for the culture to exist. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. I'm with you.
Exactly.
I'm
So
okay. I love look, I would love to be a part, okay?